Heavenly Father, today we put on the full armor to protect us against attack. We put on the belt of truth to protect against lies and deception. We put on the breastplate of righteousness to protect our hearts from the temptations. We put the gospel of peace on our feet to walk in your light, peace, and freedom with the Holy Spirit. We rebuke anxious thoughts. We take up your shield of faith for protection to block and destroy all the darts and threats thrown at us by the enemy. We put on the helmet of salvation to cover our minds and thoughts, reminding us that we are children of a mighty King. We are forgiven, set free, saved by the blood of Jesus. We take up the sword of the Spirit, your living word, that has the power to demolish strongholds and is sharper than any double-edged sword. We come to you, Lord, in prayer daily. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
What's up, you guys? Welcome to The Imagination. I'm your host, Emma, and I'm honored to have on the show today owner and founder of REAL Rife Technologies, relative of American inventor Dr. Royal Raymond Rife, animal and nature lover, motorcyclist, passionate educator, fisherman, humanitarian, and a man on a mission to heal the world's electromagnetic field, Nephew Rife. Matt's spark for having a passion for electricity and questioning how things work began in early childhood, and he was naturally gifted with exceptional mechanical ability. Relative of the inventor, Dr. Royal Rife, Matt inherited his Uncle Roy's proprietary journals, notes, and blueprints, and took a special interest in learning more about mechanics, electrical and structural engineering, math, physics, and theory creation. After the loss of a loved one, Matt's entrepreneurial journey into the world of electricity and frequency technologies began, where he started the process of integrating the research from his own modern studies alongside the studies and journals of Dr. Rife to create his company, REAL Rife Technologies. Matt's passion led him to take on the tremendous task of resurrecting the REAL Rife Machine, and ever since he has been on a quest to help society rediscover these ancient healing modalities that have all but been forgotten and shunned in the Western allopathic medicine model. As Matt says, money is the root of all evil. And today, Matt spends his time helping to shine a light on the legacy and body of work championed by Dr. Rife, who was heavily persecuted for going against the FDA and healing people organically with his Rife technology frequency machines. We know through listening to this podcast that frequencies can be used for or against us. And sadly, the frequencies we are most exposed to living in modern day society today, whether through listening to music, being separated from nature in our cities and communities, or through covert electronic mind control, are highly toxic and doing the opposite of healing us. In fact, I would go so far as to say that many of the general disease and dysfunction humans in this day and age experience can be fully or partially contributed to being so disconnected from the natural, detoxifying, and healing frequency states that nature intended for us. Luckily for us, Matt is here to dispel the myths and educate on the truth and healing power of frequencies so we can all make more informed decisions on how to reclaim our health and well-being naturally in the way that nature and Dr. Rife intended for us. Not long ago, I had reached out to Matt, sharing that there have been multiple targeted individuals and MK Ultra survivors interviewed on this podcast who have referenced Rife Technologies as being instrumental in their own healing journeys. He was overwhelmingly supportive and honored that survivors and TIs have been referencing his business, and was kind enough to offer all of you guys a 15% discount link and code so you can experience the miracles of frequency for yourself. I'll have the website link in the show notes. Shout out to Matt and the REAL Rife team for supporting and standing by survivors, TIs, and whistleblowers in our community. And I can't end this intro without referencing Genesis 1:3, which says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, 'Let there be light.' And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness." So you guys, without further ado, please help me in welcoming today's guest of honor, entrepreneur and business owner, advocate for survivors and TIs, frequency expert, content creator, hilarious commentator, non-political activist, lifestyle engineer, EMF's biggest enemy, and a light in the darkness, the one, the only, Matthew Rife. Matt, thank you so much for being here with us today.
My goodness, that was one heck of an intro. I really like that. That is the best. Wow. I'm blown away. I feel really good about myself. No, thank you for having me on. I know it's been a struggle. It's been going back and forth for us a bit, just to be able to find time. But I'm glad that I'm on here. I really am. And I just got the most horrible message. I hate doing this stuff, like when I get messages, because people will see this in the future. But somebody just shot Trump, shot him in the ear.
What, right now?
Yeah. Secret Service protects Trump after possible shots fired at Pennsylvania rally. He got shot in the ear.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Yeah,
that's a little heavy right now. Oh my goodness.
that's why I just looked at my phone while he's doing the intro. Telling you the intro is better than that.
Oh my gosh.
That's rough.
Okay. Well, we have to make these prayers go above and beyond this podcast right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what. Luckily, just his ear, which I don't know. It's a wild world we live in, huh? I mean, it's pretty crazy. I don't fully understand it, and I think it's just by the way that I live life. You know, I have zero animosity towards anybody. I don't deal with, like you said, I'm non-political, but I comment and I make fun of everyone. But man, shooting
Just,
people?
just what I love, your content. But
Oh,
yeah, I'm the same. I don't have any political affiliations. I call myself a political atheist, but it's like, we don't need bad things happening to people. We don't need violence. There's already enough of that, you know?
yeah. You like the way I make fun of it? I keep on
Yeah.
hearing this over and over because I'm like, they're like, oh, do you want to give your Twitter or X account? And I'm like, not really. But and people are like, why? It's great. I'm like, dude, I'm trash talking so many people, and it's amazing. I think people enjoy it, so it's fun.
It's fun. It shows
But yeah,
you have a good sense of humor. You don't take life too seriously. And I mean, a lot of the stuff you say is actually true. So that's the irony of it.
yeah. Well, I mean, my job, man, I deal with so much, and it's always just a hectic. Hey, be on top of this. Make sure that's perfect. Let's make sure this is going. And X is kind of like my break. It just lets me settle down. So that's where a lot of it. I can just say things and be fun and be funny and get involved because the rest of my life is pretty hectic. I mean, it's very strict. So yeah, I like that slowdown a little bit and being
I
able to
know.
joke around with my buddies and all my libertarian friends and the right wing and the left wing. I mean, it's just a lot of fun.
Well, and that's the other thing that I like is you're not on there like causing wars. You're kind of picking on everybody. It's not like you just target, one person or you're taking the side of an extreme on one side or the other of whatever the agenda is, politics, religion. You just kind of like make fun of things and make it funny. You're kind of like a comic relief on there with all the negative headlines. So it's awesome.
Well, Matt Rife, the comedian, stand-up comedian, has me blocked
What?
because yeah, he blocked me because people always mistake me for him. And what I've been doing is I've been booking opening acts for him. I figured I'd help him out. Be like, hey, do you want to open for me? And they're like, yeah, I'm be here at this time. And it never works out well for him, but I think that's the reason he blocked me. But
Wow.
it's but like you were saying, like the I can't pick on one person. I cannot pick on any side because I just don't have it in me. I really don't. And during the intro, you reminded me. I forgot that was in my bio on my website that I started this company after the death of a loved one, and that's really what started a lot of it. Well, it started with Roy. Let me jump in there real quick. So Royal Raymond Rife, um, worked with Nikola Tesla, worked with all these other scientists. Back in that day, scientists they worked together. They said, hey, let's help humankind out. Let's do all these things. And it was for their benefit and the benefit of people. Now, a lot of people don't realize that. They're like, well, your Uncle Roy wanted these machines to be given out for free and you're disrespectful. No, no, that's not the case at all. So, I mean, he had factories and everything trying to build them. He had a price point. But either way, we do let them go for as cheap as we possibly can. Even during inflation, we haven't had to raise our prices. Our costs went up quite a bit, but we've been struggling through and not raising our prices. But anyway, so Roy was with Nikola Tesla, and they were sitting around a campfire one night, drinking some whiskey, having a cigar, and just theorizing. They're like, why, how can we use electric for medicine? Because we're carbon-based electrical beings. If you stub your toe, you have an electrical synapse that sends right to your brain to say, "Oh, stub the toe." And this is just how your body works, is through electricity. So they come up with this theory and they worked upon it. Tesla did the multi-wave oscillator. Way too high of voltage. It's like 60,000 volts. And it was a lot. I'm sure it helped people get hurt. But Royal, he made something out of plasma cell, and it's a frequency wavefield generator. People called it Rife's generator. He called it his frequency machine. Those two together ended up becoming the Rife machine. And they used to call it Rife's machine. And over time, it got branded in to be called Rife machine. And so that's kind of where I picked up the name, just because people know it. It was branding. But in the 1920s, Roy was sponsored by the American Medical Association, the AMA, Morris Fishbein. And they were doing clinical trials on cancer and tuberculosis. Well, we know that there were more cancer patients than tuberculosis patients. And so that means there were at least 9, because in total there were 16 people. And I think that there's 10. There's a couple of reasons why I think there's 10. But I think there's 10 cancer patients, and 8 of them were signed off of as cured by Rife's machine, by the FDA. So, of course, you can't have that. The Rockefellers were drilling oil, and they found you can make medications out of petroleum. You can literally take it and just make medications, and you'd think, man, these would give you side effects. Well, they do. But guess what? They can make more medications to give you for those side effects. And then some more side effects. Here, take this. It's always a setup, and that's if your goal is to solely make money in business, I mean that's the best way to do it. I'll like create a reason for your customers to return. Let them sign off on it and be like, hey, yeah, right here's all the warnings. We told him about it, and he still took it. So there's nothing you can do to us. That's that liability waiver. It's the reason they tell you everything. So Roy, he got shut down. He ended up traveling the world, building new devices, a lot of different things, and helping a lot of people out, sharing his notes, working with other scientists, getting their notes and their feedback. And this is something that I want to be able to foster and bring back, is like cultivate scientists working together. And it's really hard these days. It's hard with this, because the internet, for one, kind of hurts. You have a bunch of people that are like, oh, I'm a scientist too. And they see you achieve things, and then they get mad. They get jealous. Oh no, not that guy. No, no. He stole, or he did it. He did it. And it happens all the time. And I've seen a lot of people being like, hey, I got this great thing, and they'll bring it out, and it'll just be like a cool little thing that they come up with, and it has to deal with science, and then they end up just shutting down. They never do anything with it, because the feedback that they get from other people that are jealous or upset that they're succeeding and doing something good, they end up crushing their spirit. So this is another reason that I do joke around online. You can't crush my spirit. It's kind of like Facebook. I know what I have. I know what I got. Not a penny lower. And so anyway, that's like a quick history of Royal. And I grew up reading his notes and everything. I just know him as Uncle Roy. And it's just Uncle Roy. Everybody's got that uncle, just some uncle. Well, whenever I graduated high school and moved to South Carolina, and South Carolina, hey man, they had cell phones. They had a place that you can get a cell phone and get signal, because I'm like 80 years old. And it's just where I grew up at in the mountains. I'm 41, but there's still no cell phone signal where I grew up at. You cannot use a cell phone there. There's just no towers. It's nice though. You have no cell phone signal. Put your phone away, go into the woods, walk around, get Earth's natural frequencies, right? These are the frequencies that we use. There's good ones and there's bad ones. I mean, if there are bad, there's got to be good, right? If there's something to define bad, then there's some that are good, or at least better. So anyway, I started looking up family members, looked up my name, and I ended up running across Roy. Well, I ran across Royal's notes, and I had no idea that he knew, like, he was famous. And at this point, I was like, man, he's super famous. He was just Uncle Roy, like, and had no idea. I just learned his stuff because I enjoyed it. I'm a kid, and I like to put stuff together. My grandfather the same way. My dad was the same way. And, I just like to build stuff. So I learned all these different things, learned components, learned circuit boards, how they used to build them, because I got taught everything from, like, my grandfather showed me, oh, this is the way I used to build circuit boards. Here's how they build them now. And so it was really great to learn all this stuff. And whenever I found out that Royal's famous, I'm like, this isn't him. There's no way this is him. Started looking into it. Hey, saw some of his designs. I'm like, I know this machine. That's Roy. I know this one. I know that one. And so I called my grandfather and I'm like, hey, is Uncle Roy famous? And yes, he said, I found his stuff online. And my grandfather says, well, I don't know anything about online. What's online, pretty much. And so I ended up explaining it to him. And he's like, listen, Matt, don't do anything with this. You got a lot of, gifts from it. You know a lot of things. It's able to benefit you. Just don't do anything with this. And then he told me a story about Roy. And I was like, oh crap, that's horrible. So being young, I went and I built one. Built it. I said, no, I'm doing something with it. Sorry, Bobby. I'm just gonna go build it. And then I ended up just destroying it. So then I built another one. And then I destroyed, and I've just been stuck in this loop for a while. Well, 2020 happened, and I didn't have any of the machines. I know the machines inside and out. And by this time, I had worked my way up to doing it with coiled wire. Royal had plasma cell. I have copper coils. They're still frequency generators, and they're a little bit more exact. Like, there is a tuning to this, just like you would tune a guitar, kind of. There's mathematical equations, but there is a tune to that coil. And it was something that the plasma cell technology wouldn't be able to get as accurate. So I've updated things. I also updated it to where we was talking about cell phone signals and, even radio signals and microwave, all these other signals. They're not good for us. They're not good for us at all. Look at, what who you're talking about, targeted individuals. They, I hate that. That's something, the targeted individuals really weigh on my heart. But anyway, I only deal with Earth's natural frequencies. So 20,000 hertz and below. You can get all of those from Earth, and you have to have them. You cannot get away from those and stay away. NASA in the 60s and Russia, they found out the same thing. When you send people away from the surface of the Earth and they do not have the Earth's electromagnetic field, they will die. So people were coming back from, trips, and they were either severely ill or they come back dead. So NASA says, oh, we come up with this technology. Well, they didn't. This technology has been around, and it was Royal that helped to, kick it off. And they use something called PEMF. Maybe NASA did invent that. I use EMF. It's stronger form. It's better. It's more intricate for sure. There's so much into it that you can't just get out of a PEMF device. But it's worth it. So anyway, now astronauts, like on the International Space Station, every one of them, every single day, they have to use a PEMF mat. And they have to do it to be able to get electromagnetic fields and frequencies within their body. So they do that every single day. If they don't, you got heavy bone loss, muscle loss, you're sick, and you're going to die. So we need this Earth, and that's how connected we are to it, is essentially we're doing the same thing. the earth is a carbon-based electrical being as well, just like we are. And it just makes sense that the Earth's electrical synapse is lightning or plasma in the sky, these other different things. But, so 2020 happened, and I knew it right off the bat. I said, you know what? The federal government is pointing at this, and they're pointing at the allopathic medical system. This is a system that they have an allotted amount of loss every single year. This is the system that's giving you petroleum-based medications, knowing that there's side effects, so you'll come back. This is the system that is a for-profit business. And we know it's for-profit because people invest in them all the time. It is a lot of money and income. And if it was nonprofit, people wouldn't be investing in them like that. They'd be donating to them. So this system is highlighted and put a spotlight on by the federal government. And nobody can tell me one single thing the federal government stuck their nose in and put their hand in that honeypot and messed it up. Like, you're not telling me a good one that they come out of. Everything the federal government does, they mess it up. So I started building a new machine. This is like the version I have now. Actually, there's another version besides the one that you just showed. That's like version 2.0. So I built it, and about a year in time, 6 months to a year, I forget. 6 months to build the coil, but I think it's around a year. I did my first initial sell, and I did it on TikTok. Thank you, TikTok. Thank you, Chinese government. And I immediately sold out of 100 of my smallest unit, the travel unit. It's a copper spoonie. Sold 100 of them within an hour. From right there on, I have been fully self-funded. And, somebody told me this not too long ago, and I didn't realize it until then. People have good ideas and they want to start a business, and the first thing they do is they go search for funding. And I didn't. I looked for customers. And, I had a good time doing it on TikTok. I used to do live streams every night, educating people on some of these things. Used to just goof around on there at times too. But, giving people education, bringing them into the fold. And there's a lot of people that already knew about it, so they were there. But I can honestly say this company has taken care of itself financially. It started in a small office with me in a chair and about 6 months worth of work of hardly any sleep. If I slept, I laid my head on my desk and I just power napped for 20 minutes. I got back up and started getting back to work. And this was a straight 6 months. Neighbors didn't see me. I'm surprised they didn't send a search party. Nobody knew where I was. And it's been a heavy road of ups and downs. There's been bad people that's been in my company. There's been really good people that's been in my company. There's a lot of good ones still in my company. It's a mixed bag, but it's a labor of love, and helping people out is great. So, it's just where we're at today. We've just been growing. We're getting ready to release a documentary that you were able to see, and I'm glad that you liked. It's going to be going out on InfoWars. I don't know when this is going out. This may go after, but yeah. So, it's just where we're at today. It's a quick history of it.
Really exciting. I want to dive into some aspects of your story. I want to go back to the prehistory, talking about Rife and Tesla. What was sort of the difference between what they were working on that was, I guess, the most significant difference?
On the same devices, are you talking like multi-wave oscillator versus this machine, the Rife
Right.
machine?
Yeah. Just for people who might be kind of new to this education.
I'm trying to see. Okay. I have two things here. These are foot pegs for a motorcycle, but they work. Multi-wave oscillator is a coiled wire coil. You got two of them. You got positive, you got negative. You're sending an electrical charge from this one to this one, shooting right through. Well, if you're a person, you're sitting right in the middle of that. It's a high electrical charge. Your body needs to around I think it's 70, yeah, around negative 70 negative voltage ions. So you need a negative 70 ionization or voltage within your body for healthy cells. That's what Tesla was working on. Royal was working on the pathogens and destroying the pathogens. So he would target, instead of the person bringing their voltage up, all these different things, he would target like the virus or the bacteria. He found out what these viruses and bacteria are because he was really good with microscopes. He invented number 1 through 5. But he had his microscope slide, and he had a light that was broken out into a rainbow. So like through a couple of prisms, and it shined a light array. Whatever color reflected back off of that virus. And Royal was the first person to ever see a live virus with the naked eye because he invented a microscope that could see that far. But whatever color bounced back, you can convert that color into frequency, and that's its resonant frequency. So when an opera singer sings and matches a wine glass and it starts to oscillate and she ups her amplitude higher and it goes and it breaks, that's what Royal was doing to all of these viral loads and all the bacteria and many different things he worked on.
Could you talk specifically about his work with cancer? Because I know when people do hear, or some of the literature online focuses a lot on that, and I think it's really fascinating.
Yeah, so cancer. He did this over 1,000 rats. Some of his notes, he talks about, oh, there's 200, and then it just keeps on climbing. But yeah, there's over 1,000 rat experiments. Not one of them failed. So just the same way that he would target bacteria and virus, he got the resonant frequencies of cancer. Cancer is not something that's trying to kill you. And I know that a lot of people don't know that. They're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? It's literally not trying to kill you. Cancer is there to save your life. So if you get something in your body that your body cannot handle and to beat up and to wipe out, it's gonna do its last ditch effort. It's gonna do its Hail Mary pass, and it's gonna surround it. It's gonna keep it locked inside in hopes that it'll die. Well, cancer is so fast to react, it can encompass this in a very short amount of time. And that's because the cellular regeneration is so quick on cancer. It's crazy. So this one cancer cell that's covering something, it'll split off. And now you got 2. Then it'll split again. You got 4. And then you got 8. It just keeps on climbing from there. I don't know if that math's right. But either way, you get it. It keeps on splitting. So Royal would attack these cells. What happens in cancer, and before it splits, there's proteins, and these proteins have to come into alignment to be able to split. It has to do that. Well, whenever you're hitting it with the electrical charge and you're sitting there making that thing oscillate, it's mixing up those proteins. It's not going to align. So one of 2 things will happen. That cell dies and your lymphatic system excretes it out as waste, or that cell splits off. And that's what's called a daughter cell, and it's dead. It cannot hurt you, and your lymphatic system sends it out as waste. I've found a couple of complications in Royal's work with this. So he was able to cure cancer, but at what cost? And I don't know if there was a cost to these other people or what, but if cancer is trying to save your life and it's surrounding something, you should probably make sure the reason you got cancer is killed as well, instead of just killing the cancer off. And it could be anything. It's so that's one complication I found. I would hate to take away, like I wouldn't take away somebody's gun in a gunfight. That's protecting them, just like cancer is protecting us. So I take a totally different approach. And I firmly believe it's the right one. Instead of targeting the cancer and targeting the cancer cells or targeting the virus specifically, and which you can do, you can hold this stuff off. You can weaken it, and you can hold all of these different things off to where it's not overly hurting your body to the extent that you can't have it or you can't handle it. But I also want to boost the immune system. I want to boost and strengthen the body. The one way you do that is through negative ionization, to where you get that negative 70 volts, millivolts. Said volts are what's negative 70 millivolts. You want your body to have that energy. You want the body to be able to communicate correctly. So you can do that through EMFs and electrical synapse in the body. You can clear out inflammation in your body to where that communication is better. You can structure water to where the water inside your body is actually penetrating the cells, hydrating the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cells. So many people have chronic fatigue these days, and it's probably due to like different antennas and radio waves and your environment around you. And I think that bodies should be boosted. If we're going to live with this, all this technology, and I firmly believe that we're going to continue living with it, then you have to have something to counteract whatever it's doing to us. So if there's a bad signal, just like a frequency, there's a good signal. And that's what I produce is a good signal.
Thank you for that. I think learning these alternative ways to look at whether it's disease or dysfunction, we're so used in this country, especially in America, to leaning on big pharma, this Rockefeller system that you were talking about. And we're so misinformed all the way from doctors to the patients, and we're so reliant on what doctors learn. We're not taught all these different things about our body. We're just taught, go to the doctor, get on a pill. And that's what doctors are taught too, is to treat the symptoms and not the root cause. And I love how you had mentioned before, I saw in another interview, just how the year 2020 really changed how a lot of people viewed this system. And now a lot of people are questioning things and saying, wait a minute, could what I learned be wrong? Could the way that I'm going about treating it be wrong? Is my doctor really know what's best for me over me? So it is interesting how there's sort of a twist on that. And one thing I wanted to ask you, I know that Dr. Rife experienced a lot of, uh, I guess, isolation from and a what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, he wasn't accepted by the medical industry. Let's just put it that way. Can you
You
talk a
got a
little
lot of
bit about
criticism.
the FDA and kind of like what the landscape was like back then for the work that he was doing?
So, and all of this stuff is based off of his journal. He was really scared, but he wasn't scared to the point that he would stop. He was scared that he wasn't going to be able to help people. And the AMA, the American Medical Association, is not a government thing. Just like the CDC is not part of the government. They are contractors for the government. And contractors are there to make money. So they're subsidized by the government, also have their own income. But scientists back in that day worked together. And now, scientists, man, there's approved scientists and there's non-approved scientists. And I'm kind of okay with that because I'm a huge believer in community. And, if you guys don't like something, you don't have to accept it. You don't have to take it, just like this jab. You don't have to take that. And so the approved scientists are the ones that follow the narrative. These are the ones that they're taught about in college. There's nothing that's going to stop the Rockefellers from making their money by studying these scientists. So just like Tesla's been an outcast from the scientific community too. You'd never think that. But then when you look at it, you find out that the love of money is the root of all evil. And these companies are there to make money. So when the Rockefellers pretty much run the entire oil and petroleum in the world, or like they're the largest, and they control schools, and now they're getting into medicine, they're going to want to make money. So what they did is they went to the schools and they told them, they said, stop teaching holistic, stop teaching naturopathic, stop teaching herbs and natural cures. Teach our way instead. Here's the books. We're going to teach you, and then this is what you're going to teach your people who come to work for us. And you can't even be mad at the setup, like what they built, because Now you have people that's getting out of high school and they're willing to drop six figures just to be trained to do a job. And it's like, if I could hire people and they could pay me for me to train them at work, I'd have a win-win company all day long. I only need one customer. I don't even need customers. I can just have my employees pay me. So then that's kind of what the doctors have done. And if you go against them, if you go against what they've taught you and go a different route, then you're also outcasted. They will take your license away. They will not allow you to work within their system. So whenever we have the split system of approved and unapproved scientists, that's great. I don't want to be around people that are just listeners and learners and not innovators. And this is just my personality. I'd rather be around the outcast and find out what they got casted out for, the reason that they are criticized. And this goes back to Royal's time because the AMA and the FDA, they went to Royal's lab. Royal and John Crane's lab took everything that they could, took it all, whatever they could. And what they didn't take, they burnt to the ground. So his universal microscope, I've heard a couple of different things on this. This is the one he saw with the virus. It's called the prismatic microscope. Um, Roy and John Crane had the patent on it. The patent's still available. Anybody can build it. But they, I've heard, oh, that was dropped in the dirt and broken and this and that. Or I've heard, oh, they took it and there's one in the Louvre in France. And I think there is one in the Louvre. I think it's Royal's microscope. So that love of money and the control, because that's that is what has been happening to cast these people out, and they're doing it for money. They're doing it for money and power. Well, money is power to a certain extent. So it's not, the landscape wasn't that much different back in the day from what it is now, the cancel culture.
And speaking of that, I know that this is, like you said, it's continued to today. What have been your experiences kind of being on that same battlefield that he is, and what complications and discriminations or outcasting have you experienced trying to do this, or what red tape do you have to walk around all the time?
So I have to adhere to the FDA. You know, I have to build within a certain spec. And that's one reason that we use lower frequencies. But the main reason that we use lower frequencies, this is an ELF device and it's a Rife machine, unlike PEMF. Again, please don't get those two mixed up. Anybody listening? Um, so I have to adhere to different things. And with that, that's probably been the biggest that's affected me the most. Like I like to goof around online and nobody can destroy my spirit or hurt my feelings. I think it's fun when people goof on each other, and I welcome it all day long. Just the only trolls I don't like are the non-funny ones. So, but I've had calls from three-letter agencies, and this was about free electricity that told me, hey, if you give free electric to one person, you'll be deemed a world terrorist, and because you will upset the world's economy so much that it would destroy everybody. The entire electrical and energy department would just cease to exist. And I saw this post online today I posted, oh, you all are getting ready to see some major things come through and be introduced to the world. And the person asked, they said, and you responded to this, they said, what's up with this cryptic mess? And you said, just wait. Okay, well, that's free energy. The same thing that we're sitting here talking about, that I got calls from three-letter agencies, all of this stuff that's been, oh, you can't do it. And, all of this. So it's getting ready to be released. It's getting ready to be released to the public. And if anything happens to me, I have multiple servers that if I don't check in weekly, all of my research, this is anti-gravity, this is free energy, this is the Rife machine, this is med beds, this is Faraday curtains, all of these different things. It goes out to email to every single person I've ever emailed in my life. So I still have my original email account. That's what it's connected to. And it will go to everyone. And then more things are going to be just out in the light instead of in the dark. but I'm taking measures for the free energy to where I'm not giving it to people. And that's what I was told. Don't give it to people. Um, to where this can be released. And this one isn't even my product. This is not my product at all. It is somebody else's product. And I have zero ownership in the company or anything like that. But whenever I say it, scientists should work together, this is what I'm talking about. Help somebody out, put them up, get their foot holding somewhere. And I am making sure that this is going to go out to people.
Good answer. That's really, really important for people to know because I know, like I said, a lot of people are wanting to either create a business, leaving their Western medicine model job, career, whatever it was behind, and sort of advocate now for these new avenues. But there is a lot that people risk doing that. So I appreciate you sharing some of your hurdles. As far as I want to dive in a little bit to the work that you guys do, but before that, can you define frequency and kind of what a negative and a positive frequency is?
Yeah. Frequency is measured in hertz. A hertz rating is pulsations per second. So if I can tap this glass 3 times within 1 second, that's 3 hertz. So that's a frequency. That's, for 3 seconds, that'd be 3 hertz. PEMF, it runs off of pulsed electromagnetic frequency. So it'll run on hertz rating 20, 20, 40, 20, 40, 20, 20, 40, 40, 40, 20, 40. So, it's got a pattern to it, but it pulses different ones. It goes around because the US government hasn't been able to figure out how to actually make it through EMF, like my device, to where it's not harmful to people. And harmful is out of range, right? So my coils have tuning to them. And whenever you pulsate, you have to understand electricity, how electricity can climb, how even just transformers work. You have to understand even just basics like that. And it has a tuning to where it's putting out the correct hertz rating. Because you have to be within half of a hertz to be effective on what you're looking for, or what you're going for, because you got electrical energy fields that are flying through the air, and your body, whatever is resonant within your body, that energy picks up on, sends electrical synapse right through that nerve ending, stimulating that, structuring water on the way, flowing into the muscles, stimulating muscles. So it's been really good for a lot of people, especially people that are not around frequencies, especially people that are not in the woods, or even ground and earthing. Grounding is so important. If you want your cellular voltage to go up, go ground. If you do not want rouleau stacking blood, rouleau is like a it's a term, I think it's French. It means stacking coins. So you got red blood cells that are just stacked on top of one another, and it's like a long chain, like stacked coins. That's a polarity issue within the blood. So go outside, ground. It's almost instantaneous how quickly it happens. It's going to fix the polarization of your red blood cells. It's also going to do something that's called an electron exchange. You got a positive electron here, and the earth is going to pull that out, because earth is negative. It's going to pull it positive ionization out, and it's going to replace it with negative ionization. So, and this is what you want. This is the reason earthing is so good, that it helps with inflammation, it helps for the body to communicate, and it can honestly give you energy. So if you're ever tired, just go ground. Look at the beach, for example. People out there, they are having the time of their life. They are grounding. They have the sun coming down, and they also have a high hertz rating. So I don't work in anything over 20,000 hertz. And whenever you're on the beach, you get somewhere around 18,000 hertz. You're grounding, and you have the sun coming down. All these things are going to help you. You got the earth sending out EMFs, and then you have water spray that's coming off the ocean being carried through the air while the sun's hitting it and ionizing it for you. And then it hits your body and it soaks right up. So you're getting about 18,000 hertz. Tell me anybody that has a bad day on the beach. People love the beach. It can change your entire mood around. So, bad frequencies, high frequencies, right? Let's look at, nuclear bombs. If they drop a nuke and it blows up, it causes a electromagnetic. Why am I blanking on this? It pulses. This is what it does, and it shoots out very, very high frequency. It ionizes the air with that high frequency, and this is the radiated fallout that you get. So this radiation, it's radiating at such a high frequency, your body cannot handle it. This is the reason people get cancer from it, because of the high frequency. Now go and look at 5G antennas that are running 60 gigahertz. That's a lot. That is a heck of a lot. When you go from 20,000 to 6 gigahertz, 60 gigahertz, I mean, you might as well just go ahead and swallow the nuke. So there's the bad frequencies. There's also frequencies within the body that are just not good for you. 369 is one of them. You don't run 369 on frequency. It's not a good frequency. From my understanding, it causes shoulder and hip problems. So hopefully it helps a little bit.
Interesting. Thank you for that. And to dig a little bit deeper into one of the things that you said, I wanted to ask you about two really negative frequencies that I think we're mostly impacted by these days, whether at home or at work, if we're not in nature, which is the 5G and Wi-Fi. Could you sort of explain your take on that and maybe what it's doing for us and then what your technology does to combat it?
Yes, actually, I have a lot of this stuff online on my website. I really should write this up. I don't need to look at it. I should write this up and put it out for people's knowledge. It can cause inflammation in the body. It can cause heart arrhythmia problems. It can hurt your blood flow and your circulation. So it can polarize the blood. It can if it's an ionizing setup, then it can cause the rouleau stacking of the blood. Without good blood, you're not carrying good oxygen. It can mess up the polarity of your body. It can throw in positive ionization where negative should be at. Now, as kids, we always learned on magnets that opposites oppose each other, right? Or is it the same? No, the same opposes one another. The opposites are attracted to one another. Well, in electrical engineering and through EMFs, it's totally opposite. So if you have positive ionization in your body, the negative will come in and push the positive out. It's easier to gain negative ionization in your body. And this is probably the reason that up until 5G, that, the release of all these different signals and things, it's been kind of, Spanish flu or this or that. And I'm not saying that 5G caused COVID. I really don't know. But I do know there's a lot of people that get sick from 5G. It just happens to be around that time. So I'm reason to bring it up. So now you have these very, very high frequencies, and we're bombarded so much by them. We are bombarded to the point to where people are dying. And it just keeps on getting worse and worse the more signal that we have going out. And if the frequencies and the signals do not get you, then you need to learn how to grow a garden, because all of these things are also affecting the plants. Look at 100 years ago, a peach had 5 times more nutrients than it does today. There's food that was healthier and larger 100 years ago than what it is today. We have a bunch of stuff in our soil. We have forever chemicals there. We have minerals out of it, all kinds of different things. And the one thing I've seen consistently that nobody talks about is the bombardment and the drowning of these plants in radio signal. Because, as humans, our biology can change just a little bit to be able to adapt to a situation. We change as we get older. And, all of these external sources really, they can hurt it, they can harm us or do good. Sometimes it's good, but a plant does not have that ability. Unless GMO, I guess, GMO food, which that GMO food rejects itself. I mean, it's so bad that it hurts itself. It doesn't want to be there. It's unnatural. So, but then you have these natural plants. You have heritage seeds and heirloom seeds from 100 years ago that people are still planting. And that corn that he grows that from seeds 100 years old that he's had in a mason jar, and his neighbor that's growing corn, that corn still looks the same. Not maybe not exactly, but it does not have the ability to adjust and to be able to adapt to a situation. So, like I said, frequencies, or if the EMFs and signals don't get you, learn how to grow a garden. The machine, and listen, I'm just going to say this isn't medical advice. I'm not making any claims. I just don't know how any other way to word it. I cannot, I can go into the second way. I cannot make claims, but it can help with the ionization of your body. It helps out with the inflammation. Everything I said on earthing or grounding, it does that. Plus, also, it'll structure water. So if you think of cymatics, I'm sure most people have seen it. There's a video of a disc and it has sand on it, and they play hertz. That disc, that plate's called a Chladni plate. Have one at work. Love it. Have it run in the office, play around with. I mean, I work on it all the time. Not playing games. I play with it though. And it's amazing. And so you see these different shapes in it. Okay, put some power behind that. Put some power with that same hertz rating and affect the water itself due to the minerals that are in the water. That means the molecular structure, instead of being a jumbled up mess of molecules just stuck together, and there's one over here, now it's going to start spreading apart, and you're going to see a pattern within these molecules. The molecular structure of that water has been changed. It's no longer big drops or just nothing or just strung out. Now there's uniformity to it. Now there's something that is beautiful within it. And now you have something that if you have body cells, that water can come right in and pass right through it to actually get to where the water needs to be at. So people that drink bottled water, or just water out of the tap, you have water that has been taken away from the Earth's electromagnetic field. You don't have a healthy water. You have a gummed up mess of water. That water is the water that you'll drink, and it goes down to your stomach and it sloshes around and it's very heavy on your body. And you're like, man, why am I still thirsty? And it's because it's not structured. Now, with your machine, you can run 528 hertz for 3 minutes, stick your water right on top of it, and it'll structure that water for you. The water will taste different. There you go. It'll taste different. It tastes cleaner. Your hydration levels go up. It's amazing. And you need this. So, like natural spring water, amazing water, great taste. But for some reason, the water for Fiji, where it comes right out of the mountain, tastes different than the water that's in the bottle. And that's because while it's coming out of the mountain, it's still structured by the Earth's electromagnetic field, and it keeps it as something that you can drink and be hydrated from.
That's an interesting way to look at it, almost like being alive versus not alive. Like how if you pick a vegetable or a flower, it sort of cuts off its life supply and it starts to die, or rot or go bad. So I think we're very disconnected on that with water, and they load our water up with so much stuff. And even in bottled water, we don't know what else is in it. Not only is it deionized and it's not connected to the Earth's frequency, but then they're adding fluoride and they're treating it with different chemicals, or who knows what it touches, before it goes into the bottle. And then once it's in the bottle, it has the BPAs potentially, and then it's traveling in a hot, truck going to drop off at grocery stores or wherever its final destination is. So I think that's really neat. And the cymatics that you bring up, that's really fascinating. And people haven't heard of that. It's a really cool, a lot of people have turned it into art or videos that are paired with music where you can sort of see what these patterns do. And I wanted to ask Matt, not only drinking water, but can you talk a little bit about, our bodies are made of water. So how are these things impacting us too? And like, what can we do to replenish ourselves? Because we're not obviously, out in nature and stuff like that. Like, how can your technology or what are some things that can help us replenish and ionize ourselves?
So you can structure water by the sun at 528 hertz. The light resonates at 528. You can put water in a glass jar. Put some Celtic salt in it, put a little bit of baking soda, set it in the sun for a day. That, the light waves will structure that water. And you got your baking soda and your salt in there, you know that you have the minerals that you need to be able to accept that structure and to be able to hold it. Now on the inside of the body, hey, these EMFs, it's a non-invasive surgery, essentially. So it's not cutting your body, but it's going right through your body. Sound waves and EMFs have a lot in common. Sound waves travel, or EMFs and sound waves travel the same, right? They're like little waves that go out. Now, sound, it needs atmosphere to travel. It is a compression and decompression of atmosphere. So every time that speaker hits, it's compress and decompress, it's compress, decompress. EMFs do not require atmosphere. They can travel through the vacuum of space. So just like a sound will hit a wall and it seems to be quieter in the room over, or it's making that wall rattle for something to move, that's because the atmosphere is beating on it. Now, EMFs can travel right through a wall. They don't go through Faraday cages or metal very well, but they will travel through a wall, no problem at all. So these EMFs are also traveling through your body. You're getting electrical synapse from that. You're getting energy within your body. You're getting the negative ionization that you need. And it's also hitting the water. So it's structuring the water within your body. And you brought up a good point about, being alive, right? Looking at it as if it was alive. And there's other things within our life that we're not around, like even your wall and my walls, drywall. It's built out of drywall. I have concrete, like I have a concrete pad. Um, now they're building all of these buildings out of steel uh, uh, posts or what, like instead of wood, instead of a wooden stud, they're putting up metal studs. Metal's never been alive. So you're surrounded by things that have always been dead, that hold no life to them. They have no energy. Whenever you build a house out of wood, I have a cabin in Kentucky. In this cabin, there's never a time that there's not flowing air, even with the windows and doors shut. You can feel the energy moving. You can feel just a little bit of air moving. You're never in the doldrums. And the doldrums meaning to stay still. Wood holds energy. Okay, you cut the tree down. It's dead now. That tree still holds energy. And you can still burn it and collect 40% of the energy from that wood by burning it and using that heat to be able to turn a turbine to be able to make electricity. And this is the power of life and death. If you live amongst death, surely you will die. But if you live around life, you're going to live a life. In that cabin, best I've ever slept in my life, except for with the Rife machine. Rife machine helps out a lot of people with sleep. But there's just so much to surrounding yourself with light, things that used to be alive or things that still hold energy. I can't burn that drywall. I can't burn concrete. I can't burn glass, but I can burn wood. I can burn oil. I can burn many different things that have energy because they used to be alive. Now look at your clothing. Cotton. Cotton holds a frequency of 10 hertz. 10 hertz is a very common frequency. It's a good frequency. It keeps you slow. It's kind of like counting sheep. I mean, the lower the frequency, the more in sleep mode that you are. Was it theta wave at 1.2 hertz, I think is the lowest. And this is deep REM sleep. This is very deep sleep. But make sure when you buy stuff, just buy stuff that used to be alive. Don't surround yourself with death.
Yes, that's been something I've been learning a little bit more about too. And like wool, there's certain fabrics, and that's something we don't think about. Like we're sleeping on polyester sheets for 8 hours, and then waking up being like, why am I so tired or why don't I feel good? And not that necessarily changing sheets or fabrics will eradicate everything, but it's definitely a piece of the puzzle. So I appreciate you bringing attention to that because, we focus more on fashion than safety. We focus more on convenience when it comes to food than ingredients, and we focus on calories versus ingredients or quality. So there's a lot of ways that I think we've also been manipulated into what we're purchasing, and not considering the health benefits of inanimate things that we're surrounding ourselves with. And I love that you brought that up about the wood and, considering what we can burn and what we can't. That's like an easy cheat if people on the other side are like, how do I know if something is at a high frequency or not around me, and that's a really good way to gauge that is, the burn factor of it. So I appreciate you bringing that up. Now, as far as the Rife machines go, can you talk about just sort of protocols? Like how does this interact with somebody at home? Can this mitigate I would say, the EMF abuse from things like the the 5G that's all in our communities, the Wi-Fi? Like how does this technology interact with and help us like in our environments?
So, and yeah, this goes into claims again. Explain this really quick. The reason I don't make claims is due to the FDA, right? So, and the reason why is because I have followed their protocol. Now I'm doing it. Um, I'm following their protocol, have objective data in the fashion that they want it in to be able to present to them, and then I can present it to them, which is ridiculous. Sometimes the FDA does have a purpose at some point by being like, well, you don't want to drink arsenic. Okay, so when it comes to claims, I can't make claims. The FDA says you have to follow their rules, have clinical trials in the format that they like it. So I'm doing that. So again, this is not medical advice or any claims. Just fully understand that. I just don't know any other way to say it. So whenever it comes to ionization, we already learned about positive ionization and how negative pushes it out. We've learned about how positive ionization can hurt your body and negative ionization is good, and you need, negative 70 millivolts per cell. Now, the Rife machine provides all these things. The ionization that you're getting from Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, it's not good. I remember growing up that my grandmother used to say, "Oh, don't ever get a cell phone. It's going to give you cancer." Well, I haven't told her. I don't plan on telling her, but she was right. Like there's people that are getting what they call cell phone ear. And whatever their dominant side is, they're starting to grow lumps and masses, and it's cancer. So I never use my phone without it being on speakerphone. I do use AirPods, which I shouldn't because this AirPods work off 2.4 gigahertz, which is the Bluetooth frequency range. And it's not healthy for me. But with the Rife machine, I firmly believe, again, FDA, don't come at me. I firmly believe that it is reversing the effect of this because the cellular regeneration that I have seen is just massive on this machine. And you have one. I mean, how's your experience been?
I have really loved this. So I am very blessed where I don't have a lot of really major health issues. But in my time having this, I have had a tooth issue that was really nagging me, and I put it just a test. I tried a couple different frequencies, and one of them that I put it on was the Schumann resonance. And I thought, well, I really love this one in general. Like, I love what it means. It seems to have relaxing effects, which is kind of what I need. I was reading it. It can help potentially with like inflammation. So I turn it on, and I swear, like within an hour, the toothache that I had completely went away. And this happened twice. I had the same thing on the same tooth. I have had that. I have noticed my energy has been better. And I've noticed that whenever I do things like like praying, I put it on the love frequency, which you talked about earlier, 528. It seems like a multifunctional frequency, which is pretty neat. But there's different things that I incorporate it with my life. And whenever I'm working or whenever I'm feeling really stressed or tired, I have this set up in my little office area to where I can sit right between the two these things. What are they called?
Coils.
The coils.
Coils.
I can sit between them and I turn it on and I really feel like it has an effect directly on me. And I noticed too, like even my dog, I believe
Love.
that I know that these can't be, proven, but I feel like even with my dog, I've noticed him having like more vitality. I've had to kind of some of the things that I worry about health wise with him. I've noticed seem to have improved since having these be in the home. And just in general, I think it's really helped me sleep also. One of the things that I have trouble with traditionally, I've noticed that I've been sleeping more sound and just have had sort of a better balance energetically than I have before. I feel like before I was very, very tired and had more problems sort of balancing that out and having just these energies, or I'd be kind of like really low and then really high. And I still get like that, but I feel like in general, it's helped sort of with some of the inflammation that I have in my body. It's helped with some of the minor things that I've had, and it's helped with just functions that that I was struggling with before, even just things like focus and sleep.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, just and whenever you realize it and you're like, wait a minute, how do I have so much energy? And it's lasted for days.
Yes.
And it's wild. And you're like, wait, I know is it the Rife machine? Is it because it sounds ridiculous? And I'm the first person to admit that. Like, oh, you think your magic coil that's doing nothing, that you can't hear anything? Oh, yeah, that's going to help your body out so much. There's no physical touch, there's nothing. You're not even touching it. Well, and then you realize, wait, this guy's right. This machine works. And, this is the reason I do not mind haters at all. People who doubt this, I do not mind, because most of the time, the people with the biggest criticisms and the least understanding become my biggest fans. And it's happened over and over again. It's amazing. So I'm really happy to hear that you've had the same experience with it and just had that surprise. And
Yeah,
528, I just, if you don't mind, I want to go into this a little
please.
bit.
Yeah, I'd love for you to talk about it.
So there's two coils for a reason. Again, we're going to deal with the motorcycle pegs. If this is a stream of water and this is a stream of water and they pass by one another, what's going to happen in the center? It's going to create like a little whirlpool right here. These two energies are going to combine and it's going to start creating a whirlpool. Well, the EMFs do the same thing. It's called Faraday rotation. You have two EMFs going into one another, and that energy is going to combine, and it's going to create a third electromagnetic field as a new generator. It's going to be a third the size and a third the power, because you still have EMFs that are going other places, and it's only combining in this one area. Now, this is the reason I set between the coils, because that little invisible electromagnetic frequency wavefield generator that just formed in the middle, dude, I want that on the inside of my body. I want every bit of that. If it's putting out energy and that's where the collection is, that's where I want to be. So the reason I explain this is because of 528. 528, man, it's so my granny died, and my grandfather, love him to death. He's always been a spirit, like a good spirit, in good spirits, always fun, funny, and just love him to death. The greatest man I've ever met. And when my granny died, my grandfather didn't change, but something was gone. And being as logical as I am, I'm like, okay, well, I understand he's sad about granny. I get it. I'm sad too. But there's something missing. Well, I look at it like Faraday rotation. And, even in the Bible, when two become one, right, your souls can intertwine. You are an energetic being. And love is such a strong emotion. And, being like ingenuity or just being a genuine person, it's strong as well. But love, man, there's something to love. And what I found out, or what I firmly believe, those two souls interacting with love, that has created a third new being that we have no idea, that we have not seen. And without Granny's energy there, I think that's what left. I think that's what left, because my poppy's still the same guy altogether. But there's something just missing. And I haven't dealt with a lot of death in my life. Thankfully, thank God I haven't. Not many of my family members have passed away. And this set me on a course. This set me on a course to where I was building stuff, not necessarily a Rife machine, but just building things. That's what I like to do. I like to tinker and build. And so it set me on this course of a mission to quantify love in the most quantifiable way. And the more that I quantify it, the least quantifiable it becomes. Like, it is the most ridiculous thing. So in love is the only single thing I have found that you can pick up with all five of your senses. You can see love. You can taste love in somebody's cooking. You can smell love, pheromones, right? All these different things. It's the only thing you can pick up on with all five of your senses, nothing else. And it resonates at 528 hertz. Okay, God is love and God is light. Well, guess what? Love and light, they both resonate at 528 hertz. Chlorophyll. Chlorophyll resonates at 528 hertz because it's light that's turning the plant screen. It's also a Schumann resonance. It is a perfect 528 hertz. And, like the pyramid of 528 hertz, it's in everything. Without 528, there would be nothing in existence, because even the spoken word of love gives a resonance of 528 hertz. And whenever you apply 528 to a plant, or you speak to this plant with love, it grows stronger. There is energy there. And this goes so far that I'm looking into, have you heard of Reiki healing? So people that do not know, Reiki healing is a collection of energy. Think of it as positive thoughts towards somebody. Just think of it like that. It's probably the most broken down, horrible way I can explain it. Reiki healers don't hurt me. But you can focus it. And whenever you do this, there's something within our atmosphere, because we are in an electrical environment. We have positive up top and negative down bottom. We have lightning and plasma activity, and then we have the earthing and the grounding. And all of this stuff travels. So with electrical charge, how fast electricity flows, and then you're going to pray for somebody with love in your heart and, love, intent, and good intentions. And prayers work, man. So I'm looking at it. Okay, think about it with Reiki, positive thoughts, helping somebody. And I started digging into things that cannot be explained on, how's communication happening on this earth. And so meditation and prayer, well, prayer is a form of meditation. All these different things involved, and they're communicating. Well, there's also something in the ocean that are called, God, what are they? The corals. Coral reefs all around the globe, they only emit sperm one night a year. I think they're both male and female. I'm not really sure. Either way, only one night a year do they do this. And somehow they all do it on the same night. And it's not the same night every year. It's not the same date. So it could not even be the same day, not even the same week. Sometimes it's not even within the same month. But all of these corals that are blocked by different land masses, and they're all around the earth, and they do the same thing on the same night. And scientists are baffled. Well, how are they doing this? How is this happening? And they have no idea. And it's through electrical energy. These corals are connected to the earth, and we know that plants communicate through electrical charge. And if that electrical charge can move that fast through the earth, they can move that fast in air with less resistance. Now, the earth is and will always be the best conductor of electricity ever. Just facts. And just the way it stands. And there is a wireless electricity. There is electricity that flows through the earth. It's not even hard to do. Like, if I sent you a stanchion right now, Emma, I could send electricity from my house to your house through the earth just by plugging it into the ground. And, this is what Tesla was wanting. He was wanting to do this and to be able to send electrical charge. That's how his plants are communicating. They're sending wireless electricity through the earth and letting every one of them know this is the night, or however they say it. But that's the explanation for it. So whenever you look at prayer and your intent, now energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It does have to pass through. It has to go through emotion or many different things. This is a reason words and energy can affect water. Water is an insulator. Water is not good at carrying current. It is an insulator. It's the minerals inside of the water that carry that current. If you get distilled water, you can stick a 240 line or 220 power line into that water, and you can also stick your hand in that water. Don't do this, by the way, people. Think of me as being wrong at this point. Just don't do it. But it's an insulator. That electricity will not travel through that water. But man, our environment is so wild that we can communicate almost, well, essentially instantaneously. I mean, it's not quantum, but we're on the internet right now. And look at us. We're sitting here and we're running internet and being able to communicate. And so can these coral. These coral can do the same thing. And whenever you pray for someone, those prayers can do the same thing. And whenever you love someone, that affects them. Just like whenever I do wireless electricity, two different stanchions, my stanchion and your stanchion would have to be, excuse me, they'd have to be tuned to the same exact tune for them to be able to communicate. If it's out of tune, it won't go there. So whenever you're in tune with somebody and you're locked in and you have love for them, like, and I may sound like a crazy person, men that are out there, but I think women, this is the way that they know, like they get this feeling like he's doing something wrong. I think that's what it is. And I can't explain the dreams like, oh, you cheated on me in my dreams. And now I'm mad at you. But for them to pick up on something and be like, he's doing something wrong. I don't feel good about this. Let me check in on him. That has to be what it is. Do you do that? Do you get that feeling? Because I don't think men get that feeling.
Yeah, I think men have an intuition too. But I think their strength in it is different, more intuitive as far as kind of being aware and protective and, thinking sort of along the lines of keeping my environment safe for people around, thinking about like watching over women and children. Not all men. We've been, unfortunately, there's been sort of a dumbing down of those qualities in men today. But I think there's sort of an intuition on that end where I think women, we can sense intuitively sort of into another being in front of us, whether it's a person or an animal that we're caring for. There's sort of this intuition of when things are right and wrong, that are very hard for us to explain, and I know I've experienced that myself in relationships. And I don't need to go into specifics of how I was treated for feeling those things, but needless to say, I was right at the end of the day, and so I do think that intuition is more than just our gut, and that kind of gut feeling. It picks up on something externally and we feel it internally, and so we can credit it to be like it's all happening inside. But I definitely feel like there's indicators of a connection to something outside of us that we're grasping onto, and it's sort of an invisible string that then puts that biofeedback in our body, and we genuinely feel it, instead of it just being accredited to being within us. Like we're picking up on external stimuli that have that we're connecting to. And kind of along those lines, can you talk about your theory on animals too? Because you have some really interesting ways that you look at how animals interact with frequency too, that I think go really well with this conversation about women.
Yeah. So dogs and cats and horses and cow, they can smell electricity. So I know this for a fact because I've seen it happen. I've always been taught this. I grew up here in the Appalachian Mountains, and people had cattle, people had dogs, everything. And there's also an electric fence. Now, I don't know if it's one cow telling another, hey, yo, you'll die if you touch that. Don't lick that wire. Or they just know and they can pick up on energy. They know energy. So we were talking about on the beach, right? The 18,000 hertz. Well, the sun is providing 10,000 hertz. If you go outside and you're just buck naked and you're just exposed to the sun on a bright and sunny day, you're getting 10,000 hertz. 10,000 hertz is a detox frequency. So it's easy for me to say that animals can smell electricity, and people can say, no, you're wrong. I've seen a cow get shocked before. Okay, then explain why dogs and cats and deer stand or lay down in the sun. It's because they eat trash and that they know that their body needs to be detoxed. A deer is not standing in the middle of the field so a hunter that's hidden in a tree can shoot and kill him. That deer is out there because 10,000 hertz is that detox frequency, and that deer is out there detoxing. Same thing with dogs and cats. So they know frequency. Now, I've never heard a dog speak to one another. I've heard a cat meow, but supposedly that's human manipulation, and cats just get it. But dogs, they bark. But have you like noticed, like introduce them to one another and watch them play? There's no real communication as in the way we communicate. There's something that we're cut off from that we do not understand. And people are like, oh, well, dogs can only see black and white. And well, they can also see red and green, supposedly, from what I've learned lately with dog toys. But maybe they can just see more. Maybe they have more ability than what humans do. And whenever dogs sniff each other's butts, and when they first meet one another, they're testing to see what kind of mood that other dog is in. And the anus has hundreds of thousands of nerve endings. It's got more nerve endings than any other part of the body. And whenever a dog is scared or angry, whatever it may be, it's going to put out an electrical charge from those nerve endings around the anus. And this is the first thing dogs do, is go and sniff another dog's butt to see where they're at. And whenever they sit there and they growl at one another a little bit, and then they calm back down, it's all through just body language for dogs. But there's also that frequency, and I believe that dogs can smell that frequency.
That's interesting too, that you're talking about a dog's anus, not to be like graphic, but I was thinking about how when a dog experiences like extreme fear in a moment, one of the first things that happens is their anal glands blow up, essentially, and explode. So that's a really interesting, thing that you said, because you can literally, it's literally a mechanism that happens in a dog when they're experiencing a negative frequency.
Well, they tuck their tail too. Are they tucking their tail because of anal glands, or is it because they don't want to be exposed and they're scared? Anybody who's scared, they hide, right? I mean, look at a kid. First instinct, hide up underneath a blanket or something. And so it's wild. Like, I don't think that we're anywhere near what dogs and cats can experience, and other animals. Animals love the Rife machine too. I've had so many customers be like, as soon as I turn it on, all of my dogs come and climb in the bed with me, and they just lay there. And, they love it because they understand energy and frequency a lot better than we do.
What other frequencies? I know 528 was one of them. Would you be able to talk about a couple of your other either favorite frequencies or some of the most impactful and sort of the benefits of them?
2720, nerve regeneration. The reason I like that, well, I like 10,000. That's a detox frequency, as we just went over. So it's 5,000. But 2720, nerve regeneration. I'm getting older. I'm 41. Your nerves start to die off and they start to pull back. That's the reason you have less feeling in your fingers and everything else, because it's just older age. Now, if you want to be able to have good tactile feeling and to be able to have electrical synapses in your body communicate properly and essentially stay young, I would say that your nerves are one thing that you should be paying attention to and taking care of the most. Let's see. So I like that one. I like 727.5. And the only reason I like this one, like one frequency can deal with multiple different things, right? So my first customer, I'll show you some pictures of him too.
Yeah.
Okay. So this guy right here, Mr. Cheney. As you can see, Mr. Cheney's lost a lot of hair. He's in his 80s. He had a small cell basal carcinoma in his lungs. He had cancer of the lungs, stage 4. No longer has it. But he was running for small cell basal carcinoma, and it included the frequency 727.5. And there's something that's called myocarditis necros. This means inflammation of the heart causing death. Whenever you have a heart attack and people grasp their chest, that's because their heart is hurting. The reason it's hurting is because a piece of their heart is dying. So it's just dying. It's, and this is on February 8th. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. That's my date, not his. Anyway, this is him before the Rife machine. He had myocarditis necros of half a heart. Half of his heart was completely dead. Now, the heart expends its energy to fight against being able to have cancer. The heart does not get cancer. And the trade-off is it also doesn't heal itself. The heart does not heal itself because it doesn't have the energy to do so. It's already expending all of its energy. So no cancer, but hey, if it dies, it dies. If it gets hurt, it's not going to regenerate. There's certain times that, don't get me wrong, there's certain times that the heart does heal on a small scale. It's been seen, but for half a dead heart, this man who, that's him before the machine, this is him 6 months after. So just to slide through really quick. Hair, better collagen. Same guy, just better altogether. He was running 727.5 for the small cell basal carcinoma, and his half a dead heart after 6 months woke back up and started beating again. He has a fully functioning heart. He went to his cardiologist, and the guy was blown away. He had no idea what was going on because the first time in medically recorded history, somebody's half a dead heart from having so many heart attacks, and has been done so for at minimum 3 years, woke back up and started beating again because 727.5 is also a myocarditis necros frequency. And like all of them are just great. Like we can run through, here's his eczema. This person had chronic eczema her entire life, had this normally. She got my travel unit. That's her leg that's just normally always like that. She ran the eczema, what's it called, sequence, and ran through all the frequencies. This is day 1. Here's day 2, day 3, and day 4. Her cellular regeneration is off the charts. 4 days. Then you got a dog. The lady who sent this lady had mold toxicity. She had mold toxicity all through her, she had no idea who she was. Whenever I was on TikTok and I was talking about this, she told me, she said, I have taken every antibiotic, I've taken this, I've taken that. She said, and for 3 years, I do not know who I am. She said, I do not know this person of who I am, and I'm in someone else's, if this is someone else's life. And to me, that sounds crazy. But the more I've learned about mold toxicity, that's a consistent thing across the board. They lose their self. Anyway, she ran it. Her mold toxicity was gone after 3 years. After a month, her mold toxicity was gone. Her skin cleared up. Her name is Andrea. She is an amazing person. Andrea Turner. I'm not doxing her. Her name's just on here. So what did she do? She started running this for her dog. Right here, she is ionizing that pet's dog food. It says Rifing Hercules homemade dog food, because this is going to negatively ionize the dog food, which makes it healthier, makes it taste better, and your body's going to absorb that energy a lot easier. So Hercules had several red spots that would get infected. Random red bumps would pop up out of nowhere. So we started homemade dog food and rifing. And he acts like he feels much better. Like he just fully healed up. Says his fur grew back and it's darker now. Like that dog's fur has changed. Where is he? I mean, you can see his fur here. And then right here, you can see the spots in it. So she's doing this. And there's that, she's going, she helped her dog out with it by ionizing the food and letting him get it. This is Ted Logan, that's on Twitter. Loved the guy to death. He said, I want to get a little personal for a second. And this is all a true story. I don't pay anybody. Some people are saying I paid him. I don't pay anybody to do this stuff. He said, I want to get a little personal for a second. My cousin's stepdaughter, who was only 38 years old, was diagnosed with cancer some time ago. And they have now told her that there is nothing more they can do. Well, thanks, allopathic medical system. It sounds like you can't extract any more money from her. So that's all you got. Says my family was extremely distraught over this, and I felt like a failure because I couldn't do anything to help. Last week, I got the crazy idea to message someone who I have recently had the honor of calling a friend, Matt Rife of Rife Technology, about it. I only messaged him because I knew that he was familiar. He was familiar with medical trials and was asking him for advice on who she could contact. Within 5 minutes, he responded telling me that a Rife machine would be sent out to her the very next day on his dime. They received the machine and today set it up within a few minutes and gave it a try. She has never heard of this technology and was skeptical and reluctant to try it, but she agreed to do a 1 hour session and see how she felt. After her first 1 hour session, she had that she didn't feel any different. Then 5 hours later, she realized that she hasn't had to take a pain pill and that she was moving around without the usual horrible pain. Says tonight, for the first time in a long time, she is outside camping in the yard with her children and having a good night. Remember, this product is not advertised to cure or treat any disease, but there is one thing I am positive of. Someone that I care about is having a better day today because of the Rife technology of Matt Rife. Personally, thank you, sir, genuinely. I have followed up with them and she's doing amazing. And all of these stories are consistently the same, like just positive results. Everything. All right, here's Gordon Cheney, and we got somebody with Hashimoto's disease. So all this stuff is the same, man. It's always the same. This lady right here, you can see on her hand, these big bumps. That's from rheumatoid arthritis. This is what happens with rheumatoid. You start growing nodules. She was bedbound for 4 years. Couldn't get out of bed. She's laying in her bed here. Here's her wrist. These things end up popping stuff out of joint. Her hands was no longer looking like hands. If you look at the bottom, you can see where her thumb is curled up. That's because she couldn't move her thumb. And then you have this is an elbow. And then she started getting MRSA and stuff on her leg. After a month, and this is her story right here. But you can just like this lady about made me cry. I don't even cry, but see if we can hear it a little bit. Anyway, I have it up somewhere, but man, it's always the same. And this lady about made me cry. And I was like, well, that's enough of that. I'm glad you're doing better. But after a month, she was up out of her bed. She was already showering. She went grocery shopping, and then her and her husband's doing camping trips. So she's getting back out in the woods. It's amazing. So, I mean, that right there, that is the reason I do all of this. I do not get paid from my company. The only people that get paid are employees. The money that I make goes back into the company for the benefit of the company. And at some point, I'll end up taking a paycheck. I don't know. But this is the reason I do it, is because helping people and giving that love and putting that energy out there not only affects your life in a good way, but I firmly believe that we're like the coral reefs, that it affects others and it can, other people's love can affect you as well.
That's beautiful. I want to ask you about a couple more conditions, but before I do that, and sort of get your thoughts on treating a couple other things or just, managing, I want to talk about some of my experiences with your company too, and sort of just explain how kind of the setup works for this. So when I have received any packages from Rife, they always come sort of like how you'd expect an Apple product to come. There's a presentation there. I got my Rife machine in this really awesome Pelican case, all nice and secure. I didn't have to worry about pieces being jumbled around and breaking. It came with this incredible instruction manual that was both educational. It taught me what the product was. It talked about Dr. Rife. It talked about what frequencies are some of the best ones or most common and some of the things that it can treat. And it gives a very detailed setup instructional process for you to go through to set these up. And so what mine came with is two of these coils, like what Matt was saying, and they set right next to you. And then there's the switch that turns it on that this plugs into that goes in between it. And then it comes with a tablet that has this awesome app on it And of course, Matt, I want you to talk about some of the advancements that you're making on the app side of things too. But the app that came with the product that's out currently at this moment, it has the ability to pick specific frequencies. So if you want, say, the love frequency 528, the interesting thing is when you have the app up, you can press it without the machine being on, and you can hear it play a frequency just out of the tablet. And then once you turn on the machine that it connects to, the sound goes away, and you can actually these come with this little plastic container with a metal ball in it. You can put that on top of your Rife machine, and the little ball will actually start spinning at a different pace depending on the frequency. Or you can see it, if it doesn't spin, it'll sort of magnetize down and kind of vibrate, so you can see the frequency working through this. So it's really, really neat, because it isn't something that you're aware of. It's not loud, it's not obnoxious. Once the initial setup is done, it's done. You just set it up wherever you want, and you do it according to the instruction manual. And all you have to do then is just navigate the app and pick out what you want. So there's the frequencies, but then there's also these sequences. And I was so amazed by this, because you go into the sequences, and any condition, any disease, like anything that you could really think of that a person could have, from cancer to a toothache to an earache to a headache to sore muscles, arthritis, whatever it is, you just click it and it actually has a protocol already set up. You press play and it'll rotate between different frequencies for specific amounts of time. And all you have to do is absorb that energy by sitting in front of it, or letting it generate that frequency while you're there. So it's really neat. And also included with every Rife package that I've gotten is a nice handwritten note. It's a really cool touch. So you guys really do go above and beyond for how, right from the customer service side. I had an excellent experience on your customer service team with, being able to get a hold of somebody quickly. That's walking me through educating. You guys offer free education for people if they want to set up a quick, half-hour call with a member of your team. You guys have really awesome hands-on customer service right over Zoom. Everything comes in like a really cool unwrappable presentation. So like it's fun opening up a product that you get from Rife, which I love. And you guys are excellent with getting things shipped out and ordered really quick. But before I ask you some of these other questions, I wanted you to talk a little bit about what you guys are working on as far as the app side of thing goes, because I know that you guys have been working really hard on that on the back end.
The app is out. You can download it now. It's available on Android and Apple. I'll just kind of show you, like, these are the sequences. You can go through them. And like, if you pick one, then it shows you the frequencies. We're still updating, but see, these would be all the frequencies for healing accelerated. The app is out. We're still updating. Like I said, we're adding more sequences. The Z app has been amazing, and that's what you had. Did you see the other day where I posted where the CEO emailed me? So I posted it online. It's so the owner, they're in Iceland. And I got in touch with this guy because Chi Coil ripped off their app. Like, they stole their app. It's crazy. That guy steals everything, man. His name is Yat Wong. He goes by David Wong because he stole his ex-business partner's name, David. It's hilarious. Anyways, I got in touch with him. I'm like, these people are still in your app. He's like, yeah. He said, we're fixing that. So he went in and got a fix. But he saw that. So we've been using Z app with all of our stuff, and he hasn't had an issue with it. And he emailed me and said, hello, Mr. Rife. Oh, by the way, his name is Matthias, which is where Matthew derives from. So it's pretty wild, Zap Kit, Rife Machine, all this stuff. But he emails me. He's like, hey, Mr. Rife, I noticed that you got your new app up on the market. I just wanted to write and tell you congratulations. And I wish you luck in helping everybody out and helping to heal people. So it's really nice. Like, they're a really good company. But yeah, it's just amazing. And, hopefully I can pay them back one day somehow by sending some information their way or setting them up in Iceland. Just really great people.
That's so terrific. I love how, these things are bringing people together to like work together versus, like you said, trying to fit in with the traditional kind of scientist model where everybody's kind of harboring their own little secret and not working together to create an impact for others, just more selfishly. How do I, profit off this, and how do I make this mine, and I want to be famous for it instead of working together. So that's really neat that you're getting that type of collaboration from app developers and other people in the community that you're working with. One of the things too that I wanted to ask you about as far as technology in a sense, I think one of the other really harmful things that I didn't bring up earlier is we might be in our home and be able to have our Rife machine going, but whenever we leave, we're always attached at the hip to having a cell phone on us. So we're always, around these harmful frequencies. Do you have any advice on people, or do you have any products that you guys have, or anything that you recommend to sort of mitigate that whenever you're not at home and able to sit in front of a Rife?
That would be our copper spoonie. That was the one that was set next to the dog food. And it's a travel unit. Now there's going to be a new travel unit, and this is actually essentially it. So it's going to have a bottom on it. But I've re-engineered it. It's a little bit more sleek. The handle comes off the side. I also have some rigidity built in just through the mechanical engineering side of it. This is just a quick run. But it started out from this. Our silver unit's going to be the same, but it's going to be 2 coils to be able to get that Faraday rotation, to have a little bit more power. This is going to have a better battery in it than the travel unit currently. Everything's going to be internal. It will be just this. This is it. Like, you hook it up through a phone, so you have to plug a headphone jack into it, but the rest of it, power and everything's included inside of this. So the silver unit's just going to be 2 of them. It's going to be connected by a cable. So yeah, you can do that. Now, there's other products out there that, they collect EMFs. Like, what is the name of it? It's that black mineral that, I don't know why it's slipping my mind, but there's blockers as well. And they're like little foil pieces built together. There's good and there's bad in it. Don't get me wrong, because it's a small piece, probably sometimes no larger than this, I would say, for the most part. And it collects some of this EMF energy, some of the radio signals, and it helps mitigate by getting it off your body, because your body has a layer over it to where electrical energy will flow over it. And I'm sure this right here just rejects it all. It like throws it off of you instead of you absorbing it. There's, like I said, there's lots of products like that, but you can buy like a travel Rife machine that'll mitigate it more so than the other stuff. But hey, you can buy these things to go on your cell phone, on the back of your cell phone, to help that signal get away from you. On the back of your cell phone, it's the most horrible. It'll shoot signal out every which way. Now, a lot of people think that, oh, 5G phone, I have to turn it off. Listen, your phone cannot emit 5G. So there's no reason turning that off or not using it. The 5G is in the air. So just a little tidbit for people. And I don't know, that's just normal mitigation. Then you have things like our Rife comfort blanket. One of the things I saw, I was going to build grounding sheets. I was going to make them myself. And I have a material that has a 0.001 ohm rating, or 0.01 ohm rating, which is very clear. That means electricity can fly right through it. It's a Faraday cage cloth. And I noticed kids, and now I played video games on the TV, and now I'm going to sound old as dirt because I'm going to start complaining about kids. I see them all the time, and they just got their phones and they're playing with it. And a lot of times they'll have it plugged in because of the battery. But the one thing I've also noticed, they don't hold their phone up like this. They lay it right in their groin where their reproductive region is. I said, this is a problem. So instead of grounding sheets, I made small 42-inch by 42-inch blankets that you can lay over your child, and they can lay the device right on it, and they don't have to worry about these signals or anything else. This is going to protect their lap. Now, there's also Faraday clothing that you can wear. I know a doctor that whenever he flies, he always wears Faraday clothing because of all the EMFs in the air. I don't suggest wearing EMF blocking clothing everywhere because, like we discussed, you need the Earth's natural electromagnetic field. And without it, you get sick and you'll die. So whenever you're wearing this clothing, it's also blocking the natural waves that you're getting. A flight, sure, take the flight, block it, but don't wear it all the time.
Would that be the same for like other wearables? I see a lot of people wearing like bracelets and necklaces or just, different technology devices that have EMF blocking capabilities. Does that sort of go the same? It's blocking also maybe positive things?
Yeah, it could. Any kind of electrical energy. So it would be blocking some Rife signal, but those things are so small that it doesn't, and don't get me wrong, every little bit helps. And that's the reason I'm a supporter of it. Every little bit does help. But yeah, it would block the good as well.
And then one thing that I wanted to ask you that you mentioned earlier was a detox protocol, and a lot of questions that all get submitted sometimes to ask targeted individuals that I thought maybe I'd present to you because you might know better. I'm going to be careful with my wording here just because this will go up on like YouTube, but you had mentioned earlier there was a jab that people got, and not just one, but a lot of us, grew up getting different things put into our body as children. There's, that's only increased with time. Can your technology help detox from some of the chemicals or some of the I don't want to use, I'm being careful with my words, some of the negative things that are inside some of these medications that we're being given?
Yeah, so I'm going to say this also in speculation. This is just anecdotal evidence. Don't take it as medical advice. There are detox sequences and protocols in there for a reason. And let's say that, you get a piece of aluminum foil stuck in your stomach, right? And it's just stuck and it's staying still. You have to get that to move if you want to ever get it out of your body. So that's what these frequencies are targeting things to make them move so your lymphatic system can pick it up and get rid of it. Now, how well it works on the brain, I do not know. These are the things that I can't even speculate on because I just don't know. Not even anecdotal evidence. But within the body, we've seen a huge health increase within people that run the detox. And, a big thing on this is heavy metals. Parasites hide in heavy metals. So you want to get rid of heavy metals before you do a parasite cleanse because they can hide right within it and you'll never hit it. So this is the reason we suggest that people do just a regular heavy metal detox and then do parasite cleanse. And the parasites are really odd. So if you get metal in your body, that changes your frequency. That changes your resonant frequency. It's also a resistor to electrical activity. Right. So it slows down the electrical activity. It's not flowing correctly. It can also disperse it in different directions. Electrical charge that runs through an odd shaped ball or throws it off. We've seen sparks happen because of, weird endings on things. So just think of it like that, but you have to be able to get it to move for your body to process it out. So that's where I'd stand at on it.
Great answer for that. And then I wanted to ask you to go through your products. I can bring up your website or you're more than welcome to, but I'd love for you to share some of the differences. I think like one of the key things here that I'm taking away from this is that there's devices like what you make that emit a frequency that we can absorb for health and vitality. And then there's also products that block things potentially negative, but it can also block positive things. Your technology is something that gets emitted and it's something that we absorb. But I want you have different models of these that are different sizes, different prices. I'd love for you to share about your products and even this awesome hydrogen water bottle that I have also. You have some really cool products that go beyond the just frequency machines. So I'd love for you to walk us through your website and, explain the differences between these. And here's the screen. You guys can go get a 15% discount, which is really cool. And Matt can explain the whole website, but would love for you to share about your business.
Yeah, so this right here, this is a 15% discount. The discount code is subbed, SUBBED. I give that out freely, but please go sign up for our newsletter. We put all kinds of different information in newsletter. We teach about things like structured water, ionized water, many different things. We teach about, we send this stuff out. We're never going to send just like a regular sales email without information in there that would benefit you. Because for one, I hate that stuff. I don't want it. So why would I put it out? And, like you were saying earlier, that personal touch that we had, I I love the fact that we do that, and that's something I'm always going to stand by. No calling trees unless we have to have it. We want people to get in touch with us. And every package, my business card goes into the package where people have my personal cell phone number. At some point, that's going to have to stop. But if you want my number, get it now, I guess. Anyway, that's that part. So we're going to start out just a few different things. So I'm going to start out here at the more and do the drop down. So we have some royal notes that I'm going to be putting up. We got setup instructions. This is where you can find the manuals. It's 4 different downloads. I'm glad you like the manual. I wrote it. I think it's horrible. We hired somebody to professionally do it. So it's going to be upgraded a little bit. Okay, if you go to research, this is one of my favorites. Peer-to-peer studies on EMFs. So people say, oh, there's no scientific data to show any of this. Well, all of these are found on PubMed or on the government's National Institute of Health library. All of these. So you got, stimulation of bone healing and joint preservation. You have EM fields effective on knee osteoarthritis, targeted treatment of cancer with radio frequency electromagnetic field, amplitude modulated at tumor specific frequencies. Remember, tumor specific as in resonant frequency. So we have all these. We got pages of them. And you can go through and you can find different ones and just learn about it. This is all free. EMF on kidney disease and quality of life. So we also have MS, and these things show, hey, not everything's not everything's healing, but you can read these and find out. Sometimes it's just about a better quality of life and having that quality of life, because pain can take you down a lot. But we have other information on here too. 432 versus 440. 5 different clinical trial studies that are done saying that 432 is better than 440. This one down right here, effective music, 432 and 440 and dental anxiety, really good read. I loved it. Maybe I'm just a big nerd and I like to read clinical trials and other people don't. And that's most likely the case, but they're there if you want them. So individuals and groups, practitioners, pets, therapists, children, plants, there's benefits to all these. Plants love frequencies. So do earthworms and snails. They will fight to get 2 frequencies. But, we just have a couple different things, additional research, I guess, your biotics. Dr. Jeffrey West, love Dr. Jeffrey. He come up with these prebiotics and probiotics, archaea. These things can survive soap. They can survive living in lava because they have some kind of electromagnetic force field around them. Really odd, crazy stuff. I've microwaved them, and I never carry anybody else's products. Dr. West, I will, because he said I couldn't kill the probiotics, and he's right. The microbes are still alive even after microwaving. Back pain, fibromyalgia, trauma release, and then we just got some couple of different things.
And I just want to say too, real quick, this is safe for children too, not just pets, but it's good for, like, there aren't really demographics that this couldn't be useful for, from what I understand.
Yeah. So I can't say children under 3. So legally, I've tell you, no pregnant women, no children under 3, blah, 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 FDA. So, but yeah, we've seen benefits in children too. You got to remember, these are all natural frequencies. These are all natural frequencies that you can get right here on Earth. God created, Earth provided frequencies. That's what these are. So we'll go through a couple of the, I don't know why I have 2 of these on. This is actually good that I look at the website for once. So we have a couple of different models. We have our copper spoonie. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but right here, this is a travel unit, $420. And I'm going to run through these and I'll show you a comparison. Here's our silver unit. I need to straighten all these up apparently. But we have our silver unit, $776. We have our gold unit, $2,750. And then we have our royal for $5,500. So yeah. Now, I get it. There's a lot of money here. There's a lot of money for each machine. What I've seen, the price savings from going to the hospital easily paid off. The reason I call them spoonie is because there's something called spoon theory for chronically ill people. And the they live their life by spoon theory, as in saying, hey, I've only got 5 spoons full of water, and that water is equal to energy. So this is something to help them gauge it. If you're chronically ill and you wake up, some days just putting on your clothing for the day could cost you 3 spoons of energy. So therefore, you have to stretch out your day and say, I can only use 2 more spoons of energy. I need to use, one of them on food. I need to use the other on something, whatever you need to do, right? So I just called them spoony, as in, just give them a little bit of recognition in the world, because this has helped a lot of chronically ill people. Now, the prices, like I was saying, I've seen way more savings than I have cost on any of these by buying them. We offer a 30-day money back guarantee. If you don't like it, call me and tell me within 30 days, and I will tell you, okay, hate to see it come back, but if it's not for you, it's not for you. I'm not going to ask any questions. Well, I don't have to. I'm still going to give you a refund, but I may ask, do you mind if I ask what the issue was? Your answer is not going to do anything. You can be like, well, I just don't like the color. Okay. But these things, they have very specific wiring in it. The wire is a proprietary blend of wire. So instead of paying like $600 for a spool of wire, I pay $26,000 wire. It's insane, but hey, it's the world we live in. So these, if you think of them as in terms of power, the copper spoonie, I should have the image on here. Think of this as in vehicles. In a vehicle, right here. So each one of these have this picture. You got your amp, you got your spoonie, radius 1.5 feet, and then diameter 3 feet. This is the coverage. You're getting 7.06 foot squared or square feet on the coverage here. So you want to stay within that. Now, if we go up in power, let's go all the way to the Royal Rife. I don't know why this is doing this. I got 2 of them. It's crazy. So, I don't know where the picture is on this one. The coverage on this one's way more, just way more. I think it's 10 feet per coil. It's a radius of 10 feet. So just a lot more power. Now, in terms of cars, the travel unit is going to be like a moped. Looks a little bit odd. You may not want to be seen everywhere with it. And it's small and compact, and it'll get you from point A to point B. Now, you can think of the enhanced version, the $5,500 one, as a McLaren or, a Bugatti. Shout out to that guy. I forget. Andrew Tate. Anyway, it's like a Bugatti. You're going to get from point A to point B. You're going to feel great. It's going to be a lot of power, and you're going to get there faster. Sometimes the moped can't handle what the Bugatti can. Well, we also have the Gold Rife machine. That's a step down below the Royal. Really great machine. This is what helped the woman with rheumatoid arthritis to be able to get up and walk again. And then we got the silver unit. So if you guys need any help on that, you guys can call us. You can have a conversation with us, and we'll help direct you through which unit might fit you best. And you can also email us, contact@realrifetechnology.com. So now we got this little extra magnet over here in the corner. This is just to check your machine while running 30 hertz for your own curiosity and your own sanity, to tell you it's working correctly. That's what that does. So you got 2 of them, right? You got the one that is for the silver and the copper, and you got another one for the gold and royal, just because it's got a different package. Well, we also have Healthy Grow Garden Star. If you've ever heard of electroculture, love electroculture. This is something that I put out as a test, and it's been a huge seller to where we can't even keep the large bare copper in stock to be able to build this. This is a tuned antenna. The other wire that you see on there, not the bare wire, but the other one, this collects ionization from the air, and it runs electricity throughout it, creating its own electromagnetic fields. This antenna is tuned to be able to pick up, different radio signals and protect your plants from them. Those signals will be drawn towards that more so than your plants. It's higher. It has a higher continuity rating. This thing has been amazing for people's gardens, just flourishing. Like I can't praise it enough, honestly. And I was lucky to be able to come up with it and build it on how I did. So then you got lightning to 3.5 millimeter head jack. These are just accessories. All of your machines will come with the proper adapters in there for 99.9% of phones to where you can still use it. Then we got our hoodies, of course. We got a Rife crystal. Rife crystal is clear quartz. Some people say, oh, and listen, I get it, guys. I'm a guy too. I know we date women, and it's like, oh, you put crystals in my car. Thank you for regulating my mood. And you're just like, it's a pretty rock. Well, it's not. There's actually energy within these. There's something that's called piezoelectric that you can use these for electrical different situations. It's amazing. And you can hold an electrical charge to a certain scale within these quartz. The women are not all crazy. There is some benefit to crystals. I'm just going to leave it at that. Then we got our shirts. This is a good one. The Micronic silver and copper. I am the only person besides one other, the guy who makes this for me, that has a Micronic copper. Very hard to find. Micronic silver, sure, you can find that all day long. This is the best that I have ever found. The guy who makes this does an amazing job. It's one of the best on the market. That's the reason I chose it, to be able to sell it. One bottle is right around 55 days of use, I think, if I remember correctly. Then we have the hydrogen bottle. Hydrogen bottle, what does it do? It ionizes your water. It does electrolysis through the water, separating the hydrogen from the oxygen, and then it pumps it back into it to where there's a higher pH value of the water. So it destroys acidity, acid in the water. It destroys that hydrogen. Whenever you ingest hydrogen into your body, it helps to get rid of free radicals. It helps with inflammation a ton. I cannot say enough about hydrogen water bottles. They're stinking amazing. These are sold out currently. I'm getting ready to order more of a different model. I got to check it out. Super high quality, very well made. It's got a larger storage, or like the clear part on it. So you can hold more water, and I'm going to be able to sell it for cheaper. So it's going to be pretty amazing whenever I get that in and offer that. Got a tablet, of course. Then we got the Rife Shield comfort blanket. I got to show you the picture of this. This is the blanket I was telling you about with kids. And you can see down here, these are the different effects. Wi-Fi 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. Studies have indicated that prolonged exposure to Wi-Fi frequencies may contribute to oxidative stress, which is linked to chronic disease and fertility issues. That's 2.4. Gene expression, potentially affecting various bodily functions, including hormonal regulation. Then you got radio waves. Long-term exposure to radio frequency may associate several health conditions like insomnia, headaches, potential disruption of cellular function. So many different things that are terrible for us, man. And if it wasn't for the lobbying that happens in DC and our politicians getting paid to let something go through, we'd probably all be a little bit healthier. Anyway, here's the picture. This is the blanket to kids. You can just lay it right over top of their lap. Their reproductive organs are protected. These are amazing blankets. I love them. But that's two cousins of mine, so I figure I just want to show them off a little bit. Cute little kids.
They're very cute.
And let's see. Yeah, the little girl's so funny. She's so country. We have a couple other things, lawn and garden stuff. These are all Dr. West products. I know he makes some high quality stuff, or I would not carry it. And I use a lot of this daily myself. So we're looking at new products. We're going to have some stuff done. I'm currently still working on, stop this. I'm still working on med beds. That's going to consist of multiple different technologies inside of it: plasma cell, light therapy, physical stimulation through high impact and low impact, not too high. But then we're going to have EMFs, we're going to have scanning devices. There's so much that's going to go into the med beds, including sound itself, auditory stimulation, that I don't know how long it's going to take me. It was a 5-year plan, 5-year goal. I think now it's like an 8, like not counting the other years, because it's just so hard to go through it. Uh, Wireless electricity, I still want to do that on a different level. Can't really release everything that I want to do on that yet, just because I want to make the money. That's what it is. So then we just have multiple different things. I'm working with some people who have a free energy device. Essentially, it's called over unity because 1 unit per unit, like 12 volts in, 12 volts out, that would be unity. But 12 volts in, 18 volts out, that's over unity. That's perpetual motion in a sense. And this is stuff that people get hurt over. But it's time to bring it out, man. It's time to bring it out. If I get hurt, everybody gets to know everything.
Well, you're putting yourself out there, which is good. So you have eyes on you. You're not just doing this like, the old days when Dr. Rife and Tesla didn't really have ways to reach a lot of people except by, telegrams or messages. It's cool that you're able to get out there in the public and, have eyes on you. My last question before we go over where people can find you is in regards to targeted individuals. Can Rife help mitigate outside frequencies that could potentially blast somebody or directed energy weapons, things like that? What are your thoughts on your technology and how it can impact the health or well-being potentially? I know you can't make health claims, but on people who are experiencing frequency being used against them.
Okay, I'm going to give you the bad news before I give you the good. The bad news is the way that waves work. And it's called an interference or deconstructive wave if you want to hurt that wave. So if I'm blasting 2.4 gigahertz, I have to have 2.4 gigahertz to combat it. So whenever it comes to DEWs, things like that, having a Rife machine on wouldn't affect it any at all. Now, your Rife machine, you could run it right now and it doesn't affect your computer or your phone. But if you have any kind of recording cables or anything that's unshielded, then that electrical energy is going to pick up on that line. It's going to send the signal. You'll hear it during recording. But other than that, it's not going to affect anything because it's not an interference or deconstructive wave. So you have to have the exact opposite of what you're trying to fight to make it go down to zero. The good news is when it comes to targeted individuals, I think I can help. And I think what it's going to take is a little bit of neurological function reprogramming. I think it's going to be EMFs to help build new neural pathways in the brain to help unclog the others and get your synapses firing the right way back to where you can deal with life just a little bit better, quality of life. I don't know how well it's going to do, but this is my theory, and I think that I can fix it to a certain extent. I think any kind of quality of life would do a lot for a lot of people. So I wouldn't give up hope. Now, DEWs do definitely exist. If you're wanting to mitigate somebody firing DEWs at you or anything else, that would be a Faraday cage. That's how you block these signals. Through a Faraday cage, you can wear Faraday clothing, but I can tell you right now, there's a reason that whenever it comes to nuclear fallout shelters, that they have at least 3 feet of lead surrounding it. And that's because Faraday cages can be blasted through. There's still signal that can go through a Faraday cage, just depending on how thick it is and what kind of metal it is.
Wow, that's fascinating. But that does make sense that you have to have, that equal balance on the other side of a positive to a negative. So thank you for sharing that. There is good news and bad news with all of this. It's difficult to, all this stuff is still very new, like being able to integrate this into our world again after it's been disconnected from us for so long, and our bodies are so damaged too from all the different toxins internally and externally that we're exposed to. There's a lot of undoing of damage versus having a pure life from the time that we're born. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all of this insight with us. It's so helpful for us to re-educate ourselves on our body, on our health, on vitality, and the obstacles that are in our way that are invisible, that we don't even consider, that could be unhealthy to us, such as these airwaves, whether it be 5G or Wi-Fi, these other things that you talked about, EMFs, and it's really good that we're informed on this. And frequency is just such an interesting topic. It's such a cool thing to see it sort of reviving itself and people turning away from what they knew traditionally and embracing these more. And it's not, this conspiratorial thing so much anymore. A lot more people are accepting that this can help, even if they're not partaking in it yet. People are pretty open to it being something that can help them, even with like sound baths and stuff and binaural beats that people listen to. Like there's a lot of ways that people are starting to incorporate frequencies, whether it's a Rife machine or whether it's turning on binaural beats, and listening to it. So Matt, I really appreciate you sharing today with us. And do you want to tell people where you're at on social media and then remind people of your website also?
Yes, you can find me on TikTok at Rife Machine. I'm not on there much. There's a lot of fakes that act like me. Do not give anybody money. If they ask you for money, I'll never do that. You can find me on X at Rife Technology. You already had the forewarning that I joke around a lot on X. If that offends you, don't tell me on X because I'll tell you I don't care. No, I will care, but to a certain extent. You can find my website, realrifetechnology.com. Our email address is contact@realrifetechnology.com. It goes to my entire team. You can find all the contact information on there. I host people all the time that come to my center and they get to use the Rife machine right in my center for free. You can stay as many days as you want and come in there every single day and I'll set you up for free and you can sit there and use it free every day. We're trying to expand centers across America. These will probably be paid for. Mine is a pilot program to get everything in order. But yeah, you can find us, give us a call, contact us if you have any questions, and we'll do our best to help you out.
Thank you, Matt. Is there anything else that we didn't cover today that you wanted to go over before we start closing up?
Oh man, the entire world. Now
And of
we
course,
covered
I
a
want
good
you on
bit.
more than once.
Yeah, we covered a good bit, but yeah, I love answering people's questions and be able to figure out solutions. So I love it. And thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. And I always loved your podcast. It's great.
And thank you so much for, supporting these communities that don't get much attention or get written off or called, liars or that they're fabricating their experiences. I loved that, like, I was able to express that to you, that, like, hey, people on my podcast that have gone through really horrible, traumatic things have said that your technology has helped them. And you were like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Like, let's help them out and, let's work together. So I really appreciate you, standing by some of these demographics of people that are just crying for help and are getting dismissed by most of society. So thank you for standing by survivors and whistleblowers and TIs and everybody listening. Like we were saying, there is a 15% off code and link that you guys can click that I'll have in the show notes. So if you guys are interested in trying something, don't know what to try, you guys can connect with Matt or his team right on the website, or you guys can go find him on Twitter and reach out and maybe ask for guidance if you're not sure what to get. Obviously, if budget is something that you're looking at, all of his prices are listing online, so you guys can see what fits your budget for that, and also the amount of space that these technologies sort of reach. You guys can gauge all of that online, which is awesome. And he has a lot of other stuff on there, from supplements to blankets to everything in between. So go browse the website. That code will be in the bottom too. I'll have his links down below. I'll have his social, Twitter, and TikTok. You guys go support. It is dangerous. Like, we talk about this very positively because we know that what we're doing is good, talking about these unconventional and unpopular opinions and healing methodologies and even abuses, that don't get accepted widely into society yet, or especially medicine. All of these things are sort of pushed away from the medical industry. Everything from satanic ritual abuse to frequencies. It's really sad, but we're coming together now. We're doing what the medical industry isn't, and we're coming together and sharing information and supporting each other, believing each other, and trying to find solutions together and not being selfish about it. And Matt is like the least selfish person ever, as you can see. He doesn't even take a paycheck home from his company. Very awesome, good guy. So we're really lucky to have him advocating for our community and helping. And I'd love your questions. I'll definitely have Matt on again. So if you guys have questions, if you're a survivor or targeted individual, or just a person like me that has, just general health issues that everybody, suffers from here and there, or chronically, normal things that most people go through, like arthritis or stress or just not being able to sleep. There's something there for everybody, and this is good for everybody, in my opinion. I think that we're bombarded with things that give a lot of negative side effects, and we should really be paying attention to the things that enhance our life, and that even if they don't solve an issue, they're at least not causing more issues. We need more stuff like that in our life. And I really believe in Rife Technologies. Like I said, I love their presentations. I love their, whenever you get your package, I love the customer service. Matt is awesome, super accessible. You don't really see a lot of business owners that are on communities and doing podcasts. Like, it's really cool that, he's out there representing his business and not hiding behind a paycheck, and just being invisible to the rest of everybody. So Matt, we love you and grateful to have you on. So we'll do maybe a Q&A next time. So leave your questions in the comments, you guys. I'll have all of our links. Can't thank you guys enough. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and we will see you next time.